Hi, Get Unstuck Nation. Today, I have a very lovely guest today with me, Zofia from Single Lady Hostel. So, Zofia is a single women empowerment coach. Remember this keyword. She's a dancer and she also certified in wellness with background in science as well. So she helps single ladies become their best, confident in themselves, and live the life of their dream. Like these are the key things that this podcast always stand for, that we always encourage you to be your best self in your best life and work around that. Like choose yourself first before doing other stuff. So I think it's going to be interesting information today. So thank you so much for joining Get Unstuck Radio today, Zofia.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so we spoke a little bit before we get started, but really keen to know more. But before I ask you about your expertise though, how you started your entrepreneurial journey?
Sure. So it's interesting because previously, it was 3 years ago, I worked in corporate job in biotech. Actually, my background is genetics and biochemistry, and I worked there for 5 years. And I would never think that I would transition into entrepreneurship. At the time, I felt very good in the job at the time. However, the job ended and I lost a little bit of my identity with the job. And then I realized I had actually a quite toxic relationship with that job. And at the same time, I also had a toxic relationship with a man. And everything was kind of happening at the same time. And as I came out of that job, I still didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I knew what I didn't want to do. And I didn't want to go back to the same type of jobs. That was like for sure. Like I felt it with my whole body, which for everyone around me, it sounded crazy because I had like really good experience and I worked 5 years. It's like a good amount of years to transition into a new company and everything. But I just decided I want to do something that is making me so much happier and doesn't burn me out. And I work for something for my vision, but still didn't know what it was. So I just let myself look for new things in my life that would make me excited and would light me up. And that's where I started dancing more, because I've always been a dancer, and I kind of quit once I graduated. So I got back to that, and then I just had different jobs. And basically, I started coaching in 2020 with on wellness, actually. So that's how it started. And then with having my own mentor, I realized that this exciting industry that I'm able to actually create something on my own and what I love talking about. Yeah, that's how it started.
And why it has to be a single women empowerment? Like why it has to be focused to only single ladies? Because like everyone also struggling with toxic things, whether it's gonna be a job or a relationship, family and stuff. Like sometimes we are not in the right place at the right time.
That's right. Yes. I always identified with single women a lot, because even though I was in a toxic, I would call it love addiction. I couldn't call it a relationship because I never felt like it was actually a relationship. We were very not committed, both of us. Even though I felt like I wanted that commitment, I felt like I was actually attracting what I was as well. I enjoyed not being committed at the same time, which obviously brings me to whole, how are you with yourself, that relationship with yourself. But I believe that actually when you're single, you have so much space, energy, and opportunity around you to actually build yourself up and attract what you want from there. So I feel like we are actually missing that piece quite often we're going into relationship really soon, really fast, from one relationship to another, and we forget that this love comes from within and worth. And it's very difficult to actually build that when you are so biased with somebody else in the relationship. It is possible. I know people, when you're with the right person, you can grow together and it's beautiful. But for so many women, I feel like this is the missing piece, that it's like, it should almost be mandatory to focus on yourself for like a few months, 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. It's up to every person. It's very different with everybody. But obviously, being single is not a life sentence. It's just that it's just that phase and time for yourself that we should really use. So that's really the awareness I'm sharing.
What do you think the benefit of being single is like? I can see a lot.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm single right now, so I can really talk about it. So it's definitely freedom. It's, you are the only person that you really have to check things with. And, it's freedom in terms of, for example, traveling, but it's also freedom what you want to do in your life. Like you asking about the opinion, like with yourself, is very important to have that inner voice and being able to actually listen to your inner voice. Because we often listen to those people that are the closest to us, but then it might not be actually the right advice sometimes. So yeah, I see so many benefits because I'm really enjoying my time right now, and I can see how, like, I'm excited, for, I usually like plan even my own year forward, like what I want to do in like 6 months, like where I want to go, like traveling. And I'm so open for new opportunities. I managed to heal everything within myself, so I can see how it's beautiful that I can actually be open to new people coming to my life, to new relationship, and going from there once you have that solid foundation.
Yeah. And what would be, what could be the area that toxic relationship can damage in a person's life?
You mean the reason why it might happen?
No, I mean, what are the areas that could, like, any type of relationship, let's say, not even the romantic one, it could be like family as well, or friendship, like some kind of friends that like really needs to attach to you all the time or something. Like it depends on, I think, depends on what you prefer and not prefer to have in your life. But when you do something that you actually not prefer, but you already enter to it, do you think how many damage it could cause in the life of the person that in that kind of situation, which I call toxic, I think. Am I understand it correctly?
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. The thing is that even though we might not want a relationship, or we often say that we want to enjoy more time with ourselves, but then it happens because we get attached to somebody, we enjoy time with somebody. And at the beginning, if you haven't trained yourself enough to really see the red flags, really see those toxic traits, how they come up, it's very difficult. It's just like we gracefully fall for that. And I feel like it's a case almost with everyone because it's a learning process. So once you have that experience in your life, then you can learn from that. So I would even say, like, those first relationships, those bad relationships that we have, they are almost like, we have to have them in order to learn from them. But it's all about how you know yourself, really, because it's other person is a mirror, so it will always reflect all your dark sides back to you and all your triggers, and this is how you can really see what's going on with you. So I would definitely say every single relationship is a lesson, and it shows you so much. And even though, like, the problem lies that we get lost, and it's very difficult to see that from a different perspective, that okay, like it is toxic, and you think you're happy, but then inside you're really unhealthy, and you really actually compromising your health, your emotional health and physical, of course, as well. And yeah, so it's really takes that self-awareness to be able to see that. But this is why I love my message and I love what I do, because a lot of women don't realize that, and they see only one option, which is like this happiness with the person, but then they can look at someone that is happily by themselves and having all the same values, but like all the same actually things in your life, and then they can see like, no, actually this is also possible. Because recently I even had my friends telling me that they happily in the relationships, but they told me like, actually I wonder how would my life be if I was single. So they are like curious, because it is exciting, and really it doesn't make you lonely, because loneliness is a lack of connection. So if you feel lonely, you just need more human connections with your friends, with your family, because people in relationships are also lonely because they disconnected sometimes. So yeah.
Get a dog, get a cat can help that if you're lonely. If anyone listening, get a pet. You will not be lonely anymore because you have a huge commitment to take care of it.
That also works, yes.
Yeah, so I hear what you say, but how to let go of this toxic relationship thing, I believe like as a woman, it's hard to change, like to make to make a decision to change what we have right now. Like sometimes we just like to commit into something because we didn't prioritize on it. We see like, for example, between love and work usually not really go well. Yeah, so how can we let go of the part that it not causing us being who we really are anymore?
Yes. I think the question is to how well do you know yourself? Do you feel like you are actually yourself? That's like first question I would ask, because oftentimes you realize if you are in a bad relationship that all you think you are is this, this partner or this person that you see yourself in that relationship with, that in the relationship with that person, but actually you are so much more. And how to let go if you already like realize that, okay, I have to do something about it. I don't know how, like it's super hard, it feels impossible, but deep down there's some percentage, there's something inside of you that says, yes, I have to do something and walk away or let go if a breakup already happened. And it's a suffer, and it's so hard because we are emotionally attached, and all what our body knows is this other person. So it's not only on mental level, it's like holistic level that we have to heal, like mind, body, our soul, that we have to really take care of when the breakup happens, or when you when you break up with somebody. And definitely key thing is support, and but also there's this time that you have to be ready for it. Like there's you know that you have to, but it's just so hard, and you basically relapse. So this is very common that you relapse when you still in that relationship, and you just keep coming back to the same place, and that might be very tiring. So I would definitely advise to always have that outside support, whoever that might be, maybe a friend, maybe someone, family, maybe you can invest in some therapist or somebody that can take your mind out of it step by step. And even if somebody is not ready and super scared, it's like baby steps towards that direction of getting out. And yeah, it might take longer for some women and faster for others, because usually when we stay in it, then the breakthrough actually happens when something hits us really hard, and then you're just like forced to get out of it. So that's also a risk, when life pushes you out of it. But it is a process. There's like multiple stages to it, especially it's all about your emotions. So you shifting from one emotion to another emotion. It's very important to feel all the emotions, to not ignore them. Like that's very, very, very common that we do. We just want to pretend that it doesn't bother us, but that's actually like the worst thing we can do. Like it's all about feeling, and then you healing when you actually allow yourself to be in that pain. And it's grieving. Yeah, it's definitely a grieving process, like with any other loss in our life. So
Yeah,
it's very serious.
I was thinking about grieving. I think it's the same process as losing someone. Like, because it is losing someone in our life. Like, you have to go through those 4 stages of grieving. Like, it's real. But
Yeah,
I think if I understand it correctly, so we should discover who we really are first in order to making decision that we have to walk away from that type of relationship. Am I correct?
yes, that's correct.
So the first part, then the hardest, I believe. This acknowledging the red flag, I think it's easy, because like if we see other people, we know already, but we maybe like close one eyes on our own relationship instead. you know. So that part could be easy to acknowledge, but to discover what we really want, the passion that we have currently, and in what way that we really keen to move forward. How would you suggest ladies to keep checking on themselves on that?
Yeah. So I remember when I was actually going through that. So when you know that you want to get out, but it's impossible, and then somebody tells you that, oh my God, yes, this is not for you. This is not for you. This relationship is not good for you. You have to get out. Like, okay, how, even people even offer help, like, and then you feel like that you're not ready. That actually what the people say triggers you because you're scared, because you want to, but it actually upsets you because you know that you're gonna come home and it's gonna be the same thing. And then in a few days, then again, or weeks or so, depends, you will feel the same, that you have to do something about it. So that trigger, the emotional trigger, actually tells you that it bothers you, because it's true. And I remember when I wasn't ready to hear that half truth actually from other people. And also it's all about the way they say that as well. So this is also very important, you having to have that conversation with somebody trusted, and somebody that can actually communicate this in the right way. Because if it comes out in a like pushy way or like patronizing way, then you're just gonna be no. So that's how it works. So yeah, it's all about having that trusted support. And as I said, like, it's step by step, and you bringing yourself to that place of being more out of it. And with women, it happens internally. It more happens internally, that we come to that place like, okay, I'm 80% there, I'm 90% there, and then 100%, almost 195%, and then you can make a big action. And maybe it's moving out, maybe it's separation, maybe it's blocking a person, like, it really depends. So yeah, it's a journey, like step by step.
Mm. Do you think it would be difference between those who have to end the relationship like urgently, I don't know, like promptly, versus those who have prepared? I mean,
Yeah, so
yeah.
sometimes when it's like sudden and you didn't see it coming because, for example, something came up, you maybe caught somebody cheating or lying, and then it's just like, oh my gosh, this is the sign, even though you kind of knew, because we have this intuitive feelings and we kind of knew, and then you actually see it with your own eyes, and it's rough. So it's rough and it's very hard on us. But then it actually might speed up the whole process, and it might, put you in a completely new reality of, yeah, you leaving the person and you healing a lot sooner than you thought and you were planning probably. So I would definitely see a lot of good in those situations, even though they're so painful and we sometimes don't want to even know. And that also brings me to our intuition, how much we feel and how much we don't trust it, and how much we feel disconnected with it still, even though we feel all the signs. And I even remember when I felt, obviously it's all about like feelings, but then I felt physical signs as well. I would literally get sick from like just stress, but then the stress came from that bad feeling, and I couldn't figure out where's it coming from, like what's happening. There is nothing to actually be worried about. I was excited to see that person. I was excited for whatever we were doing, like weekend away. But then, oh my gosh, like there's something heavy. And then I would one time even have a nosebleed out of nowhere. Like I was just like, my body was shaking. And I remember the person was asking me, are you okay? Like, something's wrong. I'm like, I think I'm having that nosebleed because of you. And he thought it was a joke, but actually it wasn't.
Oh.
It wasn't, but it was just like a accumulation of stress for sure, for like extensive weeks. And I just knew. And then you still choose not to listen to yourself until something bigger happens. So I just see it a lot. Obviously I said it with myself, but I see it with other women so much. And it's about awareness that the intuition is always right, and it is a divine magic really that lives in us, and it's just always right.
I know. And I understand that. Yeah, I have kind of the same experience that I can imagine. Like, yeah, whatever happens that unexplainably, usually because of a man. But yeah, but it's so
And
hard to making that decision to trust on ourselves that this is like we are not biased, the word bias. Like, are we thinking too much for ourselves, and then like we are not like open for others, or like not understanding another party enough or something? These excuses, I think, is so hurtful.
yes, so many excuses. We love excuses. But there's so many things that we can do to strengthen our intuition. That's also something I teach, because we just are raised in this conditioning of being so disconnected from our bodies, and that's all we know. So it's so difficult to actually all of a sudden like, oh, I have all the guidance within me, I don't have to listen outside voices or anything. So it's definitely a personal development journey for every woman to know that and to build that self-trust.
After a person experience, okay, right now I make decision that I need to trust myself, need to move forward from where I am and chasing my dream, let's say. How can they maintain this belief of this new mindset to, yeah, because like I bet that the first day though, after they make that decision, they will feel like on top of the world. But how long that would be?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There will be tough moments of this is when sometimes those relapsing happens, because you get yourself out of it and then you go back, or you pick up the phone, or you text, or And that's always a big mistake, because we think it's like so innocent, but then it is exchange of energy, and it brings up all those feelings in you up again, and you have to start over. So the more we do that, the harder it gets. Yeah. So having accountability throughout that process is key. And oftentimes we don't have that. Like, we just around friends and just coping with it by ourselves. But now with so many other things that are available to us, it is really possible to have that support, either coaching or therapy, that just keeps you so accountable, and you choose to be committed to yourself. And because it's also about like knowledge, that just awareness that if you do that, this can happen and this can happen, and knowing that helps you, because we just like have this narrow vision sometimes, that all you want is just this pleasure from that person, just in your brain, like just spike again, just so you feel a little bit better. It's really like it is addiction. Like, this is very toxic addiction. Same like with drugs. Like, you just want to have that little thing again, just to feel better. But no, you have to get through the really painful experience to get better.
Is this why you called your company name Single Lady Hustle?
Actually, yes, the name came out of the idea that this is a struggle, and we have to hustle so much for our own well-being. And I really like that you asked, because a lot of people think it's just about the business hustle or some other like old school meaning of that word. But it's really about us like coming back to ourselves, and the fact that it is so hard. It's not easy. And it's also really about rebuilding your self-love and going for all your dreams that you really deserve. So it's like a full package. But like, yeah, it is like the beginning journey, and then there's always challenges like down the road. Like, it's just all about the journey, and it's hard. So yeah.
Even is this hard, but how can someone want your help find you? Like, I think if someone listening until now and they think like, oh, I have never think about it this way. Like, is that they already have a coach who really could guide me through this period of time that not keeping me going back to the same old me, which is I could feel unwell with myself previously somehow. So where can they reach out to you? Where can they follow you? Like, these are important though. I think it's affect everything. Like, someone even not able to survive. Like, it could be that dangerous.
Yeah, it could be. It is very dangerous, actually. And again, it's about like raising that awareness for people to know that there is someone available to help them. And yeah, I guess when I say, single lady hustle, I do have to do a lot of explaining. But once I do, like, it's actually very magnetic to people who identify with that. And yeah, it's about the identity also that you want to build for yourself as a single woman, that it's not being single is not something that something's wrong with you. It's actually something that makes you powerful, because you are taking responsibility for your life, and you are building your next level self. So yeah.
So where can they reach out to you? Like, is there any links?
Sure. So you can find me at Single Lady Hustle at Instagram, or Facebook. And then also my website is singleladyhustle.com.
Okay. So everything will be in description below, everyone. And what we discovered today is about knowing yourself, trusting yourself, able to move on from where you not belong, and finding the right path with your intuition further. So if you know that you are not that strong commitment person to do so, reach out to Zofia and she could help you in some way. So thank you so much, Sophia, for joining the Unstuck video today.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed the show, you can subscribe here or here. And this is the previous episode. Check it out. See you next time.